Hi FREEZE64 and Commodore 64 enthusiasts, Vinny here at FREEZE64 Towers. Here is issue 76 of FREEZE64 with Gates of Dawn on the front cover. So the image on the front cover I scanned from the image of the game, of the cassette, and it took a lot of work to clean it up, filters and a lot of work, a lot of editing, but I managed to get it to work, and I think printed looks absolutely beautiful. Anyway, that's the front cover, Gates of Dawn, which is a Virgin Games game that was released back in 1985. There's the contents page and the welcome page. That's Charles Goodwin. He's the guy that wrote Gates of Dawn. This is the intro pages. Then we go straight into the cover feature. So all about Gates of Dawn. I haven't played it for a while, so I had a play for the first time in a long time, what UK magazines rated the game back in the day. And it continues onto that page, and then we give it a FREEZE64 thumbs up. So we don't score, and we never really have in the last 2 or 3 years scored games. We just either give them a thumbs up, or the highest accolade is our FREEZE64 sizzling sausage. Here's our new feature from Warren Pilkington, which is called Hidden Harmonies. So Warren contacted me and said that he'd like to write something for FREEZE64, and so I suggested Hidden Harmonies. Warren has written previously for Commodore's own Fanzine, and he used to write about tunes that he liked. What I wanted to do was have tunes that we don't necessarily know or remember, or even you have heard. And so I suggested we highlight some tunes, not the obvious tunes. You know, everyone always goes with IK plus any Rob Hubbard tune really, and I want to avoid those, but still highlight some brilliant tunes. And so we've got the Falcon Patrol 2 tune, Yogi's Great Escape, Kettle, which was Tony Crowther, The Big KO, and Theatre Europe. So Warren talks about them, and then I give my little bit about each one as well. Then we have Julian Rignall's Crapback, which is one of my favourite, if not my favourite feature. So Julian goes back to an issue of Zap64 magazine. So previously he did Zapback, where he spoke about the best games. Here he talks about the crappiest games, the worst games. And here we have Nightwalker, Necromancer, Wing Commander, Beer Belly Bert's Brew Biz, Danger Mouse in Double Trouble, Ninja Master, You Have Qualified, and Freak Factory. Secret Squirrel looks at secrets within games, and so here we highlight Shadow Warriors, this big long message hidden away in the code for Shadow Warriors, and Infestation by the lovely Monty Boyd, who's one of our subscribers. Then we interview the great Charles Goodwin himself. So he's the guy that produced Garfield, Gates of Dawn, Swap and Valhalla for the Commodore 64. Now, Charles was introduced to me by our interviewee for FREEZE64 issue 66. That was Simon Burrell. So Simon also worked for Virgin Games. And after I interviewed Simon, he said to me, why don't you interview Charles Goodwin? And I said, oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Why don't I? Well, because I don't have his contact details. And so literally the next day, Simon introduced me to Charles. And Charles wasn't reluctant, but he was struggling to remember. Remember, this was 40 years ago. He's in his 70s now. He was struggling to remember the design and the development of the game of Gates of Dawn. So there's Garfield, he also developed, and Valhalla and Swap. So there he is there with his lovely flowery shirt. It's a great interview. Then we've got the second part of Freeloaders. So this looks at public domain games that were released back in the late 80s, early 90s. And we look at, or I look at Halax, which is a great kind of breakout style game, which was free and did appear on both the Zap Mega Tape and also the Commodore Formats Power Pack. We don't do reviews, we look at Invasion Anarchy, which is by Chris and Brent Page, two brothers. Chris and Brent are FREEZE64 subscribers as well. It's a great game. There's a bit of a quirk to it, so don't think it's just your standard shoot 'em up, arcade shoot 'em up, which I kind of did when I started, but Chris did explain, and all right, I get it. So you need to read the review because it explains the game. I had some space for my to bring back my infamous Hackersoft pads. I haven't had those for quite a few issues, and so I've got some cheats for Miami Vice, Space Firehawk, Night Night, and I've also got some SYS codes to restart the games there, just in case you don't have a freeze cartridge. The Mouldy Cupboard looks at Condor, which is an absolute crap game. Really, that should be in this. But it was created before Zap 64 was released in 1983. The guy that produced it, Alan Osborne, also produced a game called Egbert, which I used to go to the local game shop, and I almost brought every single one of the games that they had, budget games that they had. And I got to the point where I was getting to the real one, the ones that I knew were going to be crap, even though I'd never played them. You look at the cover and you think, yeah, I don't think this is going to be great. And Egbert was one of them. And I got it home and I was right. And saying that, though, I have played it recently, and it is a quick game. It's one of those, it's just a high score chaser. It's quite addictive, but there's no depth to it. There's just one screen and you just have to get a high score. Anyway, Condor was produced by Alan Osborne, and it was in my mouldy cupboard, and I plucked it out, and it's a piece of shit. Operation Vostoka, Part 5 by Chris Stanley, who's also a FREEZE64 subscriber. He's working on this fab game, which is turning out to be a corker of a game, because this is part 5. I think what have I done? 6. I'm on part 8, so I'm already ahead. I've already edited part 8, and I think I've page set it as well. But this is part 5, and it's really coming along. There's a lot of depth being added to the game, and it's looking gorgeous as well. And talking of gorgeous, look at that advert on the back cover. Tyrion's Towers, which was recently released by Cytronic, produced by the Icon 64 guys. So that is FREEZE64 issue 76. You can grab that from our website, freeze64.com. And if you're lucky enough, and if you're quick enough, I'll also send you one of these fabulous cheat cards, gold cheat cards. It's one of our gold ones, so these are quite rare. This one's of our good friend and FREEZE64 team member, John Rowlands, who along with his brother produced Creatures 1 and 2, Mayhem in Monsterland, Retrograde, Cyberdyne Warrior. So you could have one of those fabulous cards. So go and grab yourself a copy, freeze64.com.